Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 182 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to work on building the various logistics components that we need to expand our network. Enjoy! First, let's do the tiered things. So tier 1 of the big ports, going into the tier 2 of the big ports, tier 1 of small ports, going into tier 2 of big ports, tier 1 of the expander going into tier 2 of the expanders. But we'll have the request chests requesting any of these items. It's probably not necessary for the tier 1, but it's kind of thinking towards the future, to where if any of these parts find their way into an inventory, that they will be brought back here. Then we'll say request from buffer chest because we do want everything that's available to make it here. Because it really shouldn't be anywhere else. Meanwhile, these inserters. We only need to put a few in here. So let's just say if it's less than 10, they'll turn on. Then the provider chests go on the other side. And let's just say less than 100. We could probably really smash these in here. Then we could have some more requester chests. Grabbing the other items we need. Like this one can grab arrays and steel, both from buffer chests. So the robo chests are all set up. Now let's do regular chests. They don't lead into each other. Let's put like 4 right there because we need one of them. Making the steel chests. And then making each of the colors. And these need to go into each of their provider chests. And then they each need their supply chests here. Okay, that gets those chests taken care of. Working our way down. Now we just need to make the base components. We don't have to worry about any direct insertion for any of this, because that's what bots are for. So the array 1 and the array 2, and none of these parts go into each other because the machines they make go into each other. So you don't have to worry about any of that. We'll just connect each of these and set them to their individual components. See if any of these can just skip forward. Say if robot request. This is unintentional, but sometimes it works. Like right here. These arrays can go straight through. So we don't need to have one right there. And that's the only one that applies to. Let's set the requests. Oh wow, that operates really fast. Well, a lot of this stuff, I think all these machines down here are all going to use productivities. So that does change the numbers a bit. Still, it's asking for quite a bit, but I guess I'm okay with that. That should cover all of the items. Now we just need to get the base resources in here, because they do need to be delivered by bots, some of which are coil choppers. So we need one for aluminum, steel, tin, and copper. Aluminum, steel. We'll do copper and then tin. Productivity and provider chest. And these machines might operate fast enough to need more than yellow inserter, and they kind of do. And these can actually be changed to the electronics versions. Let's do red and set these higher. Let's say like 1,000. Then they will actually receive their input via belts. Meanwhile, everything else that's on here needs to get delivered via belt as well on provider chests. We can just use loaders for that. Let's see, might need some extra space. Let's try to squeeze some stuff in there. And let's see what we can do. We will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these. So 2 more. And hopefully we'll get all the belts on the bus to be able to line up and go in here. If not, we might have to space it out a little bit more. But I think that's everything. I guess we'll find out. Let's try to plop this in there, leave a little bit of space. It probably makes sense to squish these in here as close as we can get away with, so the bots have less distance to travel. We need to power this grid. I know it's a lot of flashing lights here. Soon to be corrected. And to start, we're going to need to handcraft some logistic zones here. Which is going to take a huge amount of resources. Wow, all that, and we can build 1. Guess we're short on circuits. But they have a pretty decent zone of them. And they're 2x2s, so they take up a little bit of space. But we can plop that there. And we got lines, so it should all be connected. Of course, we want to put some charging ports down too. And when it comes to putting down charging ports, robo chests and stuff, you kind of need to decide where are all the robots going to be. And certainly it's going to be very busy right here, in addition to the storage chest right here. So both of these locations, it makes sense to have robo chests and charging ports. So let's put the chest down so robots have somewhere to park. And a grid of charging ports down too. How about right there? And we want to try to give this a test to make sure that it works. So I guess the first thing we can do is hook up aluminum here and just see, once it starts chopping up the plates, do the bots come out and start delivering where they need to go? And here they come. Meanwhile, since bots are being consumed, it's producing more to make sure we always have at least 100 extra. Ah, looks so nice. And that's going to take a little while to fill everything up. Because a lot of these are requesting a decent amount. Let's try the other choppers then. Steel's going in. Robots are delivering them. Okay, let's get the cables in there. Looks like I got it mixed up on the wrong thing. Well, that could be fixed. Still delivering stuff nicely. Now we just need to get all the other resources here. Let's try both circuits and both gears. Let's see what this does. Oh yeah, we do need to have some kind of limiter on here. And they're going nuts. There we go. Suddenly things are getting nuts. Oh yeah, it's got to fill this up because it has such huge numbers attached to it. Let's get these other limiters set up. Looks like some of the machines are starting to run. Making the chest. See, a lot of the bots are returning here. Not really sure why they do that, considering there's a row of chests right there. Well, in that case, I kind of want to change this up with a provider chest. Wrong type of chest. Let's close that off for a second. Let's have a requester chest right here. Asking for all robots. And that should help them get parked where they need to be. Let's see, some of these things already have items in them, but they're not swinging. I see, that's greater than. Well, that needs to be less than. Are these all like that? Kind of. See, those ones are less than. And those ones are less than. Let's see, considering this has got so many items it needs to move, that should probably be a stack, and it'll just be hopelessly behind. Looks like we're starting to get our zone expanders. Alright, let's see how these last resources work. Should be enough to start up the whole process. Definitely see a huge limitation right here. You might want to have a second one. And just copy it over there to help it out a little bit. Man, look at that line of bots. It's interesting how they're all waiting in line to charge. But I guess when they drop back in, they need to charge up first. So they won't use this pad if they're returning to the port. I guess we can have more of these stations, which would avoid that problem. Well, now that we're starting to make stuff, we're starting to get a few extra items here. So let's try putting this over here for now. So I can get rid of that. Maybe put a few of those in there. And see how that works, now that they have some choices. Seems like they'd like more choices. Well, luckily we're starting to make lots of parts here. Looks like some of these are waiting to charge. So a charging port would also be nice. for the ones that want to use it. See, this one requires a bunch of resources too. Maybe I should just use stack inserters on all of them. It looks like this steel producer here is a bit of a limiting factor. Which I guess makes sense, because the original setup here requires 70 per second, which it'll never do. So there's always going to be some weak link in here. Seems like we still have a bit of a line. Well, more roboports then. Some of these bots are just chilling out. It's like they're just waiting for their turn to get charged. So it looks like since each one of these only has one charging port, that you actually need quite a lot of them in a busy area like this. I think it's mostly good. I think these bots are just really low on charge and are taking a while to get charged back up. Now that we have some items here, we can start making some logistics requests to try to clear up our inventory a bit. Of course, it's still a bit of a mess, but we can do something about that in a bit. Well, let's come in here and start adding, like, the chest, storage chest, requester chest. And of course, they're already delivering our items. Might want to set that to exactly 50. So keep our inventory nice and clean. And let's see. Robo chests, logistics expanders, and both the small and large charging port setups. Now we still need to make construction robots, but we'll worry about that later, because at least right now we can expand our logistics zone. We don't necessarily need to have logistics everywhere, but we do want to pull off from these items that we're making. Let's just limit them to one stack. So we have bearings, one gear type, another gear type, iron gears, which will supply us with the parts we need. But we also want to be able to dump them if our inventory gets too full. So we can create a dump chest. We can make it a storage chest. And say the thing that it needs are the steel bearing in that case. Brass gears in that one. And probably should put a storage chest around here, just for anything that can't find where it needs to go. We'll probably want to have a more central location for these later. Let's connect all this with logistics expanders. And then those resources will then be handled. Oh, does those not reach? I guess not. And then some roboports next to each place where bots might be expected to sit and park. Just next to each delivery point. Any of these chests here will supply us with resources too. But it's also probably good to have them right here just to make sure they're always included. So let's set up these things where we'll take exactly the amount of steel bearings, exactly the amount of gears, and I can see robots flying down here to fix it. Exactly those numbers as well. And they're cleaning out our inventory. Additionally, we need to make sure we don't have any extra random resources. Like if we so happened to get any ball bearings in our inventory. Set that up to request some ball bearings. Then we can test it out. Then we can come in here and say, ball bearings, but we want none of them. So the robots come in. They're like, hey, you have some trash. Let's drop it in here. And we're well on our way to having a curated inventory. Well, this isn't the ideal place to pick any of this up. But since we've already got it here, we might as well. And eventually, ideally, we would be having robots deliver us all the items and we would never have to handcraft anything. But things are imperfect right now, so you should probably keep a hold of all of the basic items here. And let's grab some of these metals too. Like we can grab the invar. The aluminum. And the steel. It's probably going to take a very long time if we were delivering concrete to ourselves. So because of that, let's just set it to infinite as the maximum. Because in case we pick up a bunch and we want to lay a bunch down, we don't necessarily want the robots coming in picking them all up. And let's see. Do we have any junk that would be picked up? Kind of. We should probably just pick up all of the junk in here. Start changing settings that gets them delivered automatically. We'll also find ourselves with things like coils. You will need somewhere to dump them. And you can put them anywhere, but they'll probably get consumed fairly quickly if we put them here. We just need these set up to each coil type. Of course, it makes it that much harder to walk through here. Well, we can probably improve that a little bit. By putting those on the outside. Good, and we probably want some robo chests in here. Probably don't need a ton of them, because it's probably not going to happen very often that robots will have to come in here to pick up extra stuff. Basically just working on belts. Those seem pretty well connected. We'll want to get them connected to the rest of it, and that seems like a good spot for some chargers. So let's get out of the network for a second to give it a try. Let's create some trash. We want nothing that's in coil form, because there's nothing our character can do with that. That has to go into a machine first. And to make the list as short as possible, I won't include any resources we're not currently making. And we also want to include those other items that were in there. Things like glass. We probably want a stack of it. And a stack of bronze. And a stack of brass. Let's see how this works when we run into the logistics zone. Well, there they go. Grabbing all our junk. It looks like they didn't have anywhere to put the solder for now. Well, in that case, I'll take it off. Let's grab all these gears. And now the bots come by to grab them. Boom. Because they have somewhere better to put them. Ah, it feels nice having robots starting to look after our inventory. We probably don't need to hang on to steel chests anymore. Because we're about to really make the bronze version, so the steel versions aren't really necessary. So set those to 0 and they grab them for us. Let's see, we also want to stay supplied with iron here. So let's just put a provider chest in here with a stack of 1. And let's add iron to the list. Let's push off copper cable. But for now, we'll make a request for the tinned cable because we do use that for some handcrafting. So it would be nice to keep some on hand. Let's see, we gotta get motors in here. And engines too. Don't know how many of those are going to be stuck in our inventory, but since we've got the bots, we might as well hook up absolutely everything to keep the inventory as clean as possible. And put our excessive motors in there. And then we can come down to this side. And create our little provider chest. And we need to expand all these zones. Seems like steel's taking a long time to catch up. I kind of just want to put speed modules in here for now. Just to get this populated. See, we probably don't need 100 on here. 10's probably more appropriate. Oh, and that one's set to the wrong color. And let's put the robo chest next to every area where they might park. That's probably after delivering resources. Might be nice to have random charge ports scattered about. We can just do the little ones for this. And let's set up the logistics. Big motors. 1 stack. Engines 1 stack. Looks like small electric motors already in there. And single cylinder engines. Okay, we need to connect this. One thing we definitely don't want to have in here is any logistics robots. So we definitely can push those out of the inventory. Ah, it's so nice receiving deliveries from robots. Let's see, anything else that we can dump right now? Not particularly. We've got glass on here. It's trying to supply us with some and there's none available, but that's okay. As we add more to the bus, we'll have more machines supplying us with more resources and we'll make our inventory progressively cleaner. But we're getting there. It'll take a while and a pretty insane list of logistics before we'll finally have our inventory automated. But for now, this is pretty good. We'll let that catch up, and then we can switch in the productivity modules later. It would be nice to expand this to our whole base. And certainly that's a plan. But the most important area to have logistics on is our initial area here. And we've got enough of a connection here to get started. But from here, the next step is building construction robots. So then we can automate construction tasks, and then when we have that, we'll be able to start plopping all of these robot parts all over the place and have the construction robots just build them for us rather than us running around. But that's going to have to wait till the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.